Welcome back to the Word Expanded. The Gospels. We're in Matthew. We're in chapter 6. We're on verse 16, right? And it says this, and when you fast, do not look gloomy like the hypocrites, for they disfigure their faces that their fasting may seem by others. Truly I say to you, they have received their reward. But when you fast, anoint your head, wash your face, that your fasting may not be seen by others, but by your Father who is in secret, and your Father who sees in secret will reward you. This is the second time, right, in very close proximity, we've heard about God's going to see what you do in secret, and He's going to reward you. But if you do it in public, if you get your reward in public, if people walk up to you and go, oh, thank you, you're the greatest guy in the world, that's your reward. Right? Because God's not getting the glory, you're getting the glory. Again, God is pretty much against glory stealing. Any time that you steal God's glory, that's your reward. The reward is glory. You understand that, right? The reward is the glory. You're either going to bring your king the reward and the honor and the glory, or you're going to take it for yourself, right? When in days past, when armies go into battle, right? When they would go into battle and there was all of this loot, all of this stuff, right? They kept some for themselves, maybe, but everything on that field was the king's. And then he would reward accordingly. If you kept for yourself, there's a good chance that's what your reward's going to be. You're going to miss out on other stuff. Right? The Bible talks about that in the Battle of Ai right after Jericho. Right? Guy decided he was going to take some things for himself when God said, nope, it's all mine. Right? It's all mine. Right? So in Jericho, the people were to say, everything here, destroy it all, and it's all God's, whatever's won. But one guy decided he was going to take some really weird things. Right? And it's funny because in the next battle, they get to keep everything. They literally get to keep everything. If you just waited 5 minutes, he would have gotten everything. God says, listen, everything in your battle, everything that happens, that's mine. You're living for me now, right? So this is my stuff. When God calls us to fast, which we don't do very well, right? And I'm not the person to be talking to you about fasting. Right? But when we do fast, I have fasted and it has been effective for people. It's been effective for myself. But again, part of the deal is we don't walk around telling people that we're fasting so that if something happens, we get the glory. We fast quietly. Now, again, when you're doing life with people, that's kind of hard to do. How do you tell somebody that you work with every day, that you eat lunch with every day? How do you not tell them that you're not eating because they're going to think you're sick? Right? So some of it is, though, we should have an atmosphere of, hey, this is part of what we do, so we don't need to ask questions. If you're not eating, maybe it's because you're fasting. Maybe we shouldn't be asking other people things. But the effectiveness of fasting is built on you and God. God's going to ask you to fast, right, for someone else, for something else, for a moment in time. The effectiveness of that fasting is going to be dependent upon, is it a you and God thing or is it a you, God, and a million of your friends? God wants the glory. Going to sound like a broken record because this whole kingdom thing is about that. Don't steal God's glory. Don't do it when you're praying. Don't do it when you're giving away stuff. Don't do it when you're fasting, right? And again, he's going to tie it up. Next week, we're going to tie this whole thing up in what, again, the whole concept of this is. The whole concept is quit trying to get glory on earth, right? Play for the end game. Play for the long, right? Again, let me close with this. I think it's funny because we're in football season, right? And man, it's amazing that the crowds go crazy and fan bases go crazy for each win, right? But that's not the end game. These teams aren't playing just for this game. They're playing because there's a big game at the end of the season that two teams, every team wants to be in, but two teams are only going to get to be in. That's what you're playing for. And so good coaches are constantly reminding everybody, this is a great game, this is a great win. But this isn't what we're playing for, right? We want to be here. And anything less than here, means that we failed. Keeping our eyes on what's coming, right? Are you able to do that? Do you know when we settle? We settle when our eyes start looking down. And we stop saying, I know what's coming and I want it. And we start saying, here's what I have and I want it. Right? What you have right now pales in comparison to what God has for you. Right? So let's do it God's way. Chew on that. We'll see you next time. The Word expanded the Gospels.